Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
And starting us off tonight is the scramble to replace Justice Scalia. As you guys recall, he passed not too long ago right here in the state of Texas, as a matter of fact. And we see this: Obama selects Second Amendment foe for Supreme Court. And this is Judge Merrick Garland. And he's Obama's pick to replace Scalia. And he has a very liberal view of gun rights, according to Judicial Crisis Network. And we see that he was the Assistant Deputy Attorney General in the Criminal Division of the Clinton Justice Department. And he also oversaw the case involving Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols. Now, my issue with the Oklahoma City bombing is that it was a very botched investigation from my point of view. Of course, I didn't understand this at the time. I was like in third grade at the time that it happened. But now looking at it many years later, you see that there's Timothy McVeigh, you see that there's Terry Nichols. Now, the official narrative of the Oklahoma City bombing is that neither McVeigh or Nichols ever stepped foot inside the Murrah building. Fine, okay, let's take that at face value. But you also saw news reports at the time. I believe even the governor at the time was quoted on the news saying that they had other bombs inside the building, not fragments of the original Ryder truck bomb, but actual separate ordnance that were scattered throughout the building, which is to say, even if it was somebody acting completely independently of Terry Nichols and Timothy McVeigh, somebody else, at least one other person, was involved. So from my point of view, that is a botched investigation. Also, you have the eyewitness testimony of a woman saying that she thought what she thought was electrical work initially. She later on believed that it was some type of wiring for explosives. She said she was walking through the parking garage. She saw guys putting up various things. She just thought it was some electrical deal. But then when the next day or a couple days later, when the building blew up, she was like, well, maybe that wasn't just electrical work. Now, that's kind of hearsay, but it's something to take into account. Long story short, I don't think that was the best investigation. With all that said, I'm not sure this is the best guy for the job, regardless of his views on the Second Amendment. But regardless of who takes the nomination, the person who's nominated by Obama or the Democrats is more than likely going to be an anti-gun proponent. I remember one time they were thinking about getting a Surgeon General who was anti-gun. He said that guns were a public health crisis. Now, I do admit people are being killed by guns, but at the same time, before guns, people were killing each other with rocks and hammers and arrows and crossbows and a bunch of other stuff. So the gun isn't the issue. You have an issue with people committing the violence, not the instruments that they commit them with. Happened here at South by Southwest just a couple years ago. A guy hopped on the curb, ran over, 20 people or so. 2 of them died. I went to the press conference the next day myself. I saw the families crying on the sidewalks. You know, it's not the firearm, it's the person with the ill intent to do harm. The same thing happened out in Las Vegas. Somebody drove on the curb, hit many people out there. It wasn't a firearm, it's a person with ill intent to commit the crime. So we'll see how this develops. They've already said that they want this guy to be in, at least Obama has, so we'll see what happens. Now, in other political news, Marco Rubio has dropped out of the presidential race, and actually I'm very surprised that he made it this far. The guy never really had a chance. He's a freshman senator. Nobody really knew who he was before the election cycle started up. He didn't do too good. He didn't win his home state. So I'm surprised he lasted this long. But we see Marco Rubio, age 44, a first-term senator, has positioned himself as the only person who could stop Donald Trump. And he went on the attack, memorably bringing up the size of Trump's hands, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. After not winning any of the early contests, Rubio's advisors and donors banked on him to consolidate the establishment vote, particularly after Jeb Bush quit the race. So they thought he was going to suck up all of little Jebby's constituents, only to find out that little Jebby didn't have any. So he was out there, the creek without a paddle. He didn't do as good as Trump, didn't do as well as Cruz, but he kept promoting himself as the guy to beat. He had a very memorable and not impressive debate where he kept saying the same. Obama has you guys heard the line. Christie made fun of him for that. So now he's dropped out of the race, and we've narrowed it down a considerable bit. I'm very happy we have fewer contenders. It's less people you have to worry about. And to be fair, as I talk about Rubio and Jeb and a bunch of other guys who've already quit the race, there are plenty of other people I don't like either, whether they were Republicans, Democrats, or whatever else. There's plenty of guys I don't like in this.
Thousands of years ago, there was a basic form of chivalry. Our ancestors would hear the drums of war, giving the warriors of the tribe a chance to organize and prepare a defense. 60 years ago, when foreign air forces were approaching filled with bombs, they had drums of their own, air raid sirens. But in the 21st century, there are silent weapons for quiet war. Pathogens added to the food and water, and to the lining of plastics that destroy our vitality, turn off our hormones, and accelerate our journey towards death. I personally counter this onslaught with Anthroplex. Anthroplex is designed with known organic concentrated herbs to create the basic foundation to normal metabolic activity inside the human body. Discover why Anthroplex is turning so many heads today. It's time for us to take our bodies back into our own hands, and it starts at InfoWarsLife.com with Anthroplex.